Good morning. You might be wondering why I'm wearing the same shirt I was wearing yesterday for yesterday's video. If you follow along video to video, this is my pajama shirt. And I felt the need to make a video before I even meditated this morning. I feel this impetus to share what needs to share. Um, before the election. So, and then I see the election as being almost like the rolling stone that accumulates um, moss and makes the boulder bigger as it rolls down the hill. And there is a part of me that wants to just skip over anything that's triggering or negative or controversial or scary and just jump to walking above the clouds and cultivating a new life for us. And I think that these two things have to happen simultaneously. We have to have this awareness of what is going on from a third dimensional perspective, just kind of a watching awareness, not partaking in it, but watching and just being cognizant that there's more going on than meets the eye, while at the same time building our new lives, building it through love, building it through intentionality, through community. And there might be a question like, why can't we just skip ahead and do the latter and not have to look at the former? And I think of it as having to go through a room to get to the other side of the room and having a game plan of what you want to do as you go through the room to the other side and not getting stuck in the room. But if you go into the room and you have no idea of where the booby traps are in the room, then you're going to be a sitting duck because you're not in a conscious awareness of what's happening in this dark room. You want to be able to go from A to B through to the other door through the hallway as quickly as possible. And in doing so, you have to have some kind of inner and outer awareness of what's happening. So the last video really dealt very much with the inner awareness, how to deal with our parts and how to have them be a part of us, but not run us. And the externals have to be the same way. We have to unblend from what's happening in the collective with awareness and having all of that be in the back of the bus as we move forward into our future. So I've been going into the Akash over the last week, pretty much every day. And what I'm finding is the Akash information is more personal and it's not as much information as I was getting that I would want to make a video out of it. It's just bits and pieces. One of the things that has come through is it's game time. They're telling me from my perspective, I've been wondering since I fell and had the issue with my tooth and my life just kind of unraveled. That was 4 years ago. That was 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, I was in preparation mode for what's happening now. So, of course, everything's an inside job. So that preparation was so timely for what's happening now. And when we're dealing with time from a third dimensional perspective, we see it as linear, but we see it almost like a horizontal linear, but it's really more like a vertical linear than a horizontal linear if you go up to multiple dimensions. So I got the idea, it wasn't really even a download, but an idea that I should go back to 2021 towards the end of the year when I felt like things were going to unravel quickly. And I did a lot of channeling around that. And then it didn't happen. And then it didn't happen the next year, and it didn't happen the next year. And I definitely think it might not happen this year too. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks maybe it never is going to happen. And as one of my friends said to me, it already happened. And sure, like whatever conceptual framework we're going to try to go down the rabbit hole of now, now, whatever. Anyway, so take this with some discretion. There are going to be things that I'm going to read that will be upsetting. You can just take it in and digest it yourself, like a emotional, spiritual, mental, physical digestion of what I'm going to read. You could take it as this was a prediction for Asheville specifically, and it already happened with a hurricane. Or you could take it as this is a collective message meant for whoever is listening to this, so that they're in a sense of preparedness for what could be coming. So I'm actually going to turn my video off just because I'm going to be flipping pages and I don't want to be distracting. So thanks for being here today. I did want to start before I turn my camera off and just say one thing. So it came to me pretty clearly after I went through my previous videos and extrapolating information that came through in the Akash that I didn't understand before the hurricane now really tie into the hurricane as it being a combo of a rain event and a seeded event that was put upon the people in Western North Carolina, Florida, and South Carolina for reasons that are unknown to me. But there was some purposefulness to what happened, and the extent of what happened was um, criminal, really. I mean, absolutely criminal, but not just a fluke. One of the things that reinforced that to me was I looked through, I have a dream journal, and I actually stopped doing it when did I stop doing it? I'm just going to look and see the last day that I did it. Uh, it was like a week ago, a week or two ago, so not very long, but it's been more intermittent lately. But anyway, I've been doing this dream journal, and I was looking through it on 8/28/24, which was less than a month before the hurricane. I wrote in my journal, I had a dream, the cabal, or the powers that be that run the earth behind the scene. Well, God runs the earth, right? God has the final say. But there are players that I call the cabal and are also known in many circles as the cabal. I had a dream the cabal poisoned our waterways. And indeed, our waterways are poisoned in Asheville because of the catastrophic condition. And then I wrote, you could see it as if it was from on the top. You could see it as if it was from on the top. So this was potentially done through cloud seeding. So very interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna turn the video off. You can tell there's some parts going on today. So Chris and her parts are here. Take it for what it's worth. Your parts could very well be listening to this video too. So let's all be aware of our parts as we talk. Thanks. Talk and listen. If you're in a place of love, you can go anywhere, do anything, or be anything. If you rest in God's heart, then he will rest in yours, and you will be one with all things that are mundane and spectacular, and you will be free. So this is a caveat before, oops, I didn't turn my video off. Okay, so try this exercise of walking on a cloud when you get in a place of disease or unease, depending on the depths and duration of your distress. We want to close by saying that what you are feeling has already happened and you can see it clearly. Chris, you are clearly seeing all that is to come, and it will be some iteration of it depending on how many of you walk in the clouds. You can lessen the severity of it. Really interesting thing. This was told to me 9/21/21. This was 4 days before the anniversary of the hurricane. So we want to close by saying that what you are feeling has already happened and you can see it clearly. Now, is that crazy that I'm reading this now to you and it's already happened? So basically they're saying when you reach people with a forewarning, please include this very important caveat that if they do this exercise, they can find freedom from all of it in that moment, and that moment might just allow them to enter another time and space where love resides and is waiting for them. So that exercise of being in a place of love, and then there is total freedom and safety. When we're in love, we're in a safe place, regardless of what happens. So these were the predictions. And now this is not going into the Akash. I just want to preface this by saying this was automatic writing that I did 3 years ago. Prediction. The virus will be uncovered for what it was and released, and untruths will be revealed. The grid will fail and go on and off. There will be chaos in the streets. Healthcare systems will be overrun. Weather will be tumultuous, storms, sleet, winds, water tragedies. The banking system will fail. The supply chain will dry up. There will be looting. People will abandon their homes and go to family. Groups of people will hole up. People will get sick and die, and their bodies will be in the street. Driving will be mayhem. Gas will be hard to get. At first, money will be worth something, and then it will be worthless by next year. Electricity will fail. Water shortages will continue. Water will be disrupted in many ways, and people will become more spiritual. There will be various ways of living that have never been tried before. Now, let's go back to that date. That was 3 or 4 days before the hurricane. But it was, in 2021 that I wrote all this. Most of these things have already happened here in Asheville to one degree or another. Now, the banking systems haven't failed, but people couldn't get cash out of the bank. Driving will be mayhem. Well, certainly roads were closed, so we couldn't get out. So in some ways, this did already happen. But I don't think that this is yet done. And then it said people will get sick and die, and their bodies will be in the street. Well, certainly there were bodies that, were floating. And then this is 2 days later. You are worried. You don't fully understand how someone can bypass all that will happen in the third dimension by being in the cloud, so to speak. It's hard to understand that there will be shifts in reality, and you can make the choice to be fully here or there. I understand the confusion, and there will be some of you that are required to stay present in the dense fields as you have chosen this path before birth. In other words, we all have roles. This seems to be my role. Your role might be going to a soup kitchen and volunteering, or something to that effect. We all have our jobs. Now, that piece was already read in a previous video, and some of this other information has been, so I'm just going to skip forward. Know that you will go through periods of adjustment as your body is having a hard time keeping up with the external and internal changes that are happening so rapidly. You're feeling this, and truly this is mostly why you are, as you would say, sick to the stomach and having a headache. We could have some somatic symptoms as we traverse what is coming up next. So, and then they just really caution us to be in our heart rather than our head, and just to take everything in from the heart. So, almost a sense of recognition, awareness, while holding that in a state of detachment. It's important to take your time, to not rush, to be easy with yourself, and to be present to all that is seen and unseen. And this is a task not for the weary. Your other fellow beings not on this chat and not in the same orbit as you are asleep. So I'm talking to this audience, and I know this sounds kind of, there's some arrogance in these words, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. There are going to be people who want to be in self-energy and self-awareness as much as possible. And then there are going to be people where, because of their wounding and what they're carrying, not only themselves, but for the collective in the past, ancestry, are going to be quite unconscious in a state of, as Eckhart Tolle, excuse me, as Eckhart Tolle would say, the fear body. They're saying they will get their wake-up call and it will be sudden. So this prelude that I'm giving you, I think, past automatic writing that I did, will help reinforce the preparedness that you've already reinforced through other means. So if you're listening to this video, this is not new to you. This is something that you innerly know, and I'm most likely reinforcing to you. Now, there'll be different degrees of it. Some of you might be just starting on the path of recognizing that the third dimensional paradigm is kind of a grand, tragic, illusionary system of life until we wake up. What they're saying is there's some people who are deeply asleep and they're going to get a sudden wake-up call. Fortunately for you light beamers, you're able to have preparation time. Even still, this is a difficult process. Now, I know there are at least one of you, one out of many, who received this message back in 2021 from me in an email. So in some ways, I'm speaking to you personally. We are with you and love you, and we will take you through this through the channel of writing, but please know that you do not have to depend on this as the only means. So what they're saying here is you don't have to listen to us through Chris. We want to reach each of you personally. So I invite you to do your own automatic writing, your own inner tapping in, however you do that. And I know that I don't have gifts that you don't have. As a matter of fact, there are friends out there who've helped me in the last week with a big decision based on their own inner knowing to reach out to me, and intercepted me from, well, maybe, looking to leave Asheville prematurely. Okay, to tune in is really simple. Start with a prayer. Center your awareness in breath. This really takes just a minute or two, but it is a profound practice. Many of you already employ this. Imagine that we are with you. Maybe you can picture us. Maybe if you hold your hands with your palms up, you can feel our presence. Maybe you can even hear us. Then just imagine what we are saying to you. Create, imagine. We are part of the creative process once you invite us in. You might even start to get parallel messages that Dear Chris gets. So I'm just going to skip ahead here. And then this is probably a week later. Dearest one, how goes it? You seem disturbed this morning. What is this about? All is well. Please know we are a touchstone away and are here for you, and your decisions aren't as important as the ones that are made with love and truth. In other words, when you're in the heart, it doesn't really matter as much the decisions you make because you're in self energy, which is basically a place of no preference and impartiality. So when we're in self energy, as I talked about in yesterday's video, which I'll put in the notes if you didn't see it, when we're in self energy, we're connected to the divine and we are safe. We're always safe, but we are safe in our inner knowing, an inner peace. Go about your day and enjoy it. Play, love, enjoy. And then I have a personal message here, so I'm going to jump down. And then it says, do I need to buy food? And they say, yes, buy as much food as you'd like. Buy food that you like. Don't buy food that you don't like. In other words, you don't like rice and beans, don't buy rice and beans. Buy what you need. You know that you're in a quandary situation, they say, and that old wounds can play out as repeated patterning called samskaras in each of your lives. Be conscious of this. Be conscious of your choices and be conscious of why you're making these choices. And then they say in another message, you're safe, dearest one. We have you. We have your back. And I'm going to add the plural backs. And do anything you want in these final, yes, these final days as Asheville as it is. Now, this is just really kind of funny because literally this is the anniversary of, I'm speaking from 4 years ago or 3 years ago about this exact time period in September when they talk about the final days of Asheville as it is. So I was almost given this preparation of 3 years to prepare for the hurricane. And I can honestly say I did. I did a lot of inner work. I certainly thought I needed to prepare externally back then and buy food and, have cash on hand and yada, yada, yada. But I also did a lot of inner preparation. Changes are most certainly upon all of us. Some will remain asleep until they are roused from their bed and shaken like they are shaken to the wits of their ends. Okay, so that's so proverbial. Shaken to the wits of their ends. The one part of their existence to the next. The one part of this existence to the next. I'm reading this to you. I know there are people who don't live in Asheville. I'm not reading this as a recap of the hurricane. I'm reading this because this has pertinence for the future if you're listening to this. It has pertinence for all of us, but you're the awake ones enough to hear this message if you're at this point in the video. It won't be pretty if we have to shake people awake. So for now, be a beamer of light. Be a beamer of light. We want for you to have the pause needed to get ready for the next very intense chapter of your life. And we are excited because you have planned for this, and it will be comforting and spectacular in its own right. So do go about your last few days here knowing that you and yours are safe and you can play and have fun any way you want. So in other words, this is the last dance of life, probably as we know it, and it could be changed in many, many different ways. There's probably going to be a falling away of the old based on duality playing out, and these players have just taken on these roles through their samskaric patterning and, their contracts, so to speak, their karmic contracts to come in and play the part, AKA Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. These are just players with parts. They're not, when we get into like hating this one or that one. We're getting into our parts, right? So we can look at it from love and self energy from above as we look down at these players. And we can know that as we are aware of what's happening, aware that these are players with their own parts, not that this one's good or this one's bad or vice versa. Although, the capes that they're wearing might have different colors that reflect that. That this is a necessary next step in our iteration to grow as humanity and as Gaia. Okay, so I'm going to read this because it's personal, but I think it could help you too. I asked about my family back then, and I know there are maybe one or two of my family members listening to this. So my heart is with you as we read this together, as I read it and you listen. My family, it is painful. There is sure to be disappointment with people who you think you know, but when you get down to it, they aren't on the same page or level of awareness that you're on. The work that you have done in this lifetime and many lifetimes is not the same work that they have done. It's hard to read this. It isn't here or there, it is just this. So accept this and have boundaries. I ask, should I have boundaries? And they say, sure, put up boundaries. The boundaries are already there, so you don't have to worry about that. Do you mean boundaries around your heart? They ask. And I say, yes. We can see and feel your pain, and it is palatable. All we can say is we're sorry that it is so. It is a sad thing when you have to release that which isn't working for you, and some relationships will fall away. Now, I know I'm speaking to at least one of you that has had relationships that have fallen away because of differing opinions. And when we let relationships fall away, if we can hold them in our heart without anger or, well, we can have anger. Of course, it's a part of us, and we don't want to disown our parts. We want to acknowledge them. They're our protectors. But if our parts again can be in the back seat and we can hold everyone with love and detachment, letting go, loving and letting go, and understanding we're all coming from a different place. And then they say, we are sure that you will hold them in your heart, but we cannot say that they will do so. Believe in yourself and your decisions, which are truly aligned with spirit, and know that things will fall away as they are meant to, and seal as they will do. Let's see, fall away as they are meant to, and it will seal as it will. Things will come together and fall away in this vast shifting of the earth. And who can say whether the decisions will lie, where the decisions will lie, and free will counts for as much, but fate is strong. Okay, so this is really a powerful statement. Fate is strong, but free will counts. So whatever's going to go down next is going to go down. But it can be tempered if enough of us are in our hearts and walking above the clouds, so to speak, being connected with the divine and looking at the third dimensional paradigm from a detached perspective. Fate is very strong, and people follow the trajectory that is familiar for them. Fate is strong, and our samskaric, cyclical karmic patterns are deeply ingrained. So the work that I did over the last 4 years, 4 years, starting, with my tooth incident back in 2020. And if you're curious about that, there's a video out there that talks about what happened, how I dismantled my life and went to Virginia. The dismantling of my life was getting out of that karmic wheel for me. And it was very painful to have changes, that I made be in response to hard life events that were relationship based. Fortunately, I was very much held in ordinary ways, But my astrological chart is all about learning about relationships. So that's really where my karmic pattern had to change. So basically, what they're saying here is for those people, for those of us who are asleep, we're going to just default to our patterns that have been set up lifetime after lifetime. As we wake up or are awake, we are going to recognize um, our patterning from a watcher perspective, from a higher perspective. And enough of us are able to step out of karma and that karmic wheel, holding the awareness of what is happening in our own way, then we're going to help mitigate some of the, I'm going to use this word, catastrophic changes that could and most likely will occur. We needed to help you along on your path, or you would still be married and as you were with your work. You needed to move along. You needed to move along, and you made this decision, but it was a very difficult one. Fate is strong indeed. And I have to just say, I was married for 39 years to a wonderful person, a wonderful man. And he came to me in a dream after we split up, and he said, I took you as far as I could take you. So that is was just a beautiful thing. It's like I took you to where you needed to step into your own sovereignty and power. And then it was a handoff, which I just love because it doesn't put the blame on either of us, or that he was a bad person or I was a bad person and I was wrong, he was wrong, yada, yada. For now, just enjoy the beauty of what you have created at Pine Top. So I lived in Virginia on a property, a remote property called Pine Top. I also had a home, which I still have in Asheville at that time. And you know that your decisions are truly aligned with your highest good, and all will be well for you. And you will be a beacon of hope for those who ride the plane of the unknown and unseen, as this is where it will be in the future. So this is so interesting. So in other words, I kind of needed to go through pretty much the dark night of the soul. Well, I've had a few dark nights of the soul in my life, but the last several years have been really bleak. It's almost like I needed to alchemize that so I could be prepared to help others alchemize it. I don't know where you're at. Maybe you've done the same. Maybe you're halfway on the path. Maybe, you're just starting to deal with the dark night of your soul. Blessings wherever you are. So it's almost like this statement, they know that I'm going to be reading it out loud to someone in the future, and to myself. Letting go of the third dimension, as soon it will be no longer in existence, and those who live in the dense body solely will be lost in a land that is forever gone. Such a powerful statement. So they're basically saying if we don't let go of the old paradigm, the way life used to be, we will be forever lost in a land that is forever gone. Very powerful statement. Goodbye for now. That was the day, that was October 18th. And they say to me, you're stuffy and a bit peevish right now. We can feel it. You're withdrawing, going through withdrawal of the outside world and making your own into the cave of your own existence, a place that isn't fully familiar or comfortable. So when I went, so I saw these catastrophic changes that were coming up back in 2021, and I felt a need to run away. And so I basically like took food and all this prepping. I prepped, and I went to this really remote cabin that was super isolated and rugged, and felt like I could just hole up there in a place of protection. And this memory is being triggered recently to the point where I kind of ran to a couple states to look at property to start all over again. And friends who hadn't been with me, or at least one of them hadn't been with me back in 2021, just had the download to say, slow down, it's okay. Just, take your time. So today they've told me that. It is time for you to retreat into your own cave and learn all that there is to learn of Kristen, as she is as vast as the world around you, and you will see only a myopic lens normally of both that which rests within and outside of you. Think of heaven and earth. You have learned that they are the same. So get to know both worlds from the inside out, and then someday you can teach others how to do this. But first, you need to experience yourself, as you have never done this. You've been at the beck and call of others and codependent for others and on others for your own reflection of existence. Such a powerful line. You've been at the beck and call of others and codependent on others for your own reflection and existence. I'm a Libra. I learn about myself through the other. And we all do that to some extent or another. Now use the earth as your platform of reflection. Find play, silliness, stillness, delight in the natural world of your human kindness and that of your existence that dwells seemingly outside of you. So in other words, it's an inside job. What we're going to experience next is not only based on our samskaric patterns and our karma, but it's also based on where we're at from a mental perspective. Do not worry about others, as you know they are truly capable of taking care of themselves. The maze was a good one this morning. Seeing life as a maze. Waving a flag from the end at those caught in the mix is not helpful, as even though they can see your flag, they don't know what it means to be there, as they haven't gotten there yet. It is meaningless and very possibly frustrating. So this was basically talking to closed ears. So I know that I'm probably not talking to closed ears right now because you're choosing to listen to this video. All right, so to skip ahead, I hope this is helpful for you. Let's see. You are the decider of your life. No one else will dictate for you what you should or should not do. We recommend that you turn it off to create an insular pillow to nest for the winter months, as things will get turbulent, and we hope that you can be contained outside the bubble of chaos, but you decide. So in other words, when we feed into social media and, other people's fear, then we can get captured in that turbulence. But when we can be held in a container outside of the bubble of chaos, aka walking above the clouds in self-awareness and awareness of what's going on, then we don't have to experience what other people are experiencing. You have everything you need. Buy more and more, and still it will not be enough. You decide. You're the captain of your precious ship, and we are on board with you whatever you do, and protect you as you are navigated, so that it doesn't go down, as we are invested in you, and you are in you. So let me read that again. You are the captain of your most precious ship, and we are on board with you, whatever you do, and protect the navigation so that it doesn't go down, as we are invested in you, as you are in you. In other words, as invested in me, they'll be invested in me. As invested as I am in myself, I'll be aligned with their investment in me. We're holding you from above, and we want you to feel safe and loved. And then I say, I have anger and guilt and deep, deep hurt around my family, ignoring my concerns around Asheville. And I'm trying very hard not to throw mojo their way, but it's difficult at times as I have these angry thoughts. And I say, will you catch those thoughts and ground them for me, as I want what is best for all, but do not want to look like a fool. So I warned my family that something was going to go down in the fall of 2021, specifically in November of 2021, and they totally dismissed me. The dates that I was most concerned with were November 17th and 18th. And then they planned a trip here to Asheville. During that time, they didn't know that I had a concern about those dates, but when they planned their trip, I asked them, excuse me, there's a part going on in my throat right now. The part's like, yeah, that was triggering. So I asked them not to come during those days, and they came anyway. So they came to my house, and I wasn't here. I was holed up in Virginia, as they had a grand old time. They had great weather, and they really didn't fully forgive me or understand why I had these crazy fears about something happening. And they felt maybe that I was just trying to avoid them. And so I didn't want to look like a fool. And they said, I said, can you help me with this? And they say, you will hardly be looked at a fool. Hardly will they look soon at anything except the surrealism that life will surely and is already bringing. Their disbelief and junk is being directed your way, but soon it will be right in their laps and they will have to clean up their mess. And indeed, it will be an undertaking for a few of them. Yes, a few of them. And I worried about one family member, and they said that this person is they're okay. Okay, so I'm skipping ahead. We conceive the limitations rather than explore the possibilities. So they're telling me this is the end of October, October 29th, 2021, and they're saying you're looking at limitations instead of exploring the possibilities. Good morning. We are here with you and love the rain too. How it cleanses the beautiful Gaia with its dancing messages of love. Yet is truly the harmony of nature in its magnificent if we tune into its song, the colors, the sounds, the glory of it is a magnificent masterpiece of love. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Within each moment, realize just this, just now, that is all there is. Just this right now. All here for me to witness and be a part with and in. Yes, you're doing the work of the soul, and we applaud the very presence that you're holding right now. So true to your nature, to the core of you, this is what is to be found within the human existence, the existence of life on the planet Earth. Tastes, sounds, noises, dancing with existence. The seen and unseen, the obvious and hidden, all to be discovered when you present in the now. Go forward with this as you stay aware and just allow the unfolding of your existence as the centerpiece of your divine dance with Gaia. We love you so. So this was kind of what happened next. So I'm in Virginia. I'm prepped, something that I had never done in my life before, but I'm prepped for this calamity that's going to happen in the world, especially in Asheville in the fall of 2021. So I go to this cabin and I'm on a well, and I'm so excited to have independent water on this well. And yeah, I have regular power. I don't have solar there, but I did have electricity. And I had all kinds of food. I had tons of food in the refrigerator and freezer. And so I write on October 30th. I woke up this morning early, maybe 2 or 3. I had gone to bed exhausted and fell asleep by 8. I probably had slept long enough by 2 a.m., but forced myself to go back to sleep. I wonder now how long the power had gone off for. I woke up at 6:15 to no power. I laid in bed for a bit and wondered why it hadn't been told to me ahead of time. So in other words, I wondered why the divine didn't tell me I was going to lose power. And I was pretty disillusioned to lose power back in 2021 at this prepped cabin. I was like, I'm all ready for all of it. Well, I didn't realize that the well didn't the pump wouldn't work if I didn't have electricity. And all the food that I had in the freezer wasn't gonna do me any good if I lost power. So I really wasn't a very good prepper. I had dry food, but I also had some gap holes in my planning. And this, of course, was a dry run, which happened in Asheville. So when it happened in Asheville with a hurricane, I was not really prepped here. I had definitely food and such, but I didn't have uh, the gas that I had back then. Um, I had my Berkey. I did a video on suburban preparedness right before the hurricane. Um, but I was held. Like I was in a space of no fear because I had done that inner work. And when the hurricane struck here, it really bypassed me for the most part. And I don't say that in a cocky way, I say it in a humble way. I didn't lose water. I lost power for less than 24 hours. I have tons of trees on my property and I have a really old shed. Everything stayed intact. Um, at my house, it was a bad rainstorm. So it's just interesting when I was in the mindset of having doing the alchemized work that I could be held in a place of safety because I was in my heart. So then I'm pretty angry at spirit. And they say, why? Haven't I experienced enough? I asked back then. Where's the joy that you're talking about? I direct my anger at Mother Mary, which is rare. I allow the anger without undue feeling of reprisal. So I just was angry with her without worried about, the backlash. And she sent me a boundaries card and I heard her. She's like, boundaries, not me, sister. And I prayed and I tried to enjoy the deep fog, the dark, and the silence as best as I could. When the utility guy came, I was so remote that literally the utility guy came to my house and drove up my driveway. It was like the Twilight Zone. It was just this thick, thick fog. I said, "Oh my gosh, this is like the Twilight Zone." And he paused and said, "It's just the fog that we are in." And then I was thinking, AKA the lack of understanding. He said he'd be able to see the problem better when the fog had lifted. Oh my gosh, so much symbolism. The fog didn't lift, but the power eventually did come back on. I want to feel my emotions and be angry and upset and not feel like I can't feel these emotions without feeling guilt or that there will be a hammer of consequences. So I really felt back then that I couldn't feel my feelings because they were so powerful and that I would bring retribution onto myself. So that was something that I really had to work with over the next few years. And fortunately, back then, I did have the IFS tools in my toolbox. So slowly through work, eventually with Tantra and using IFS and galactic astrology, which I studied, and then Ayurveda, which I'm still studying, all of that has been really helpful to bring me to where I'm at right now. But of course, I still have a ways to go, just like everybody. All right. So then there's personal messages going on. So I'm gonna just put this on pause for a moment. Okay, so I'm communing with the divine through automatic writing. So when I do automatic writing, I'm in self energy and I'm a conduit for um, what's called the para atman in Ayurveda. There's something called the jiva atman and the para atman. So atman is like a word for the enduring soul. So there's the enduring soul of what some might call God, and then there's the soul that is called Chris. And when I'm in my own self energy, a word that Richard Schwartz uses, then I am able to tap into the universal life force, God. So this is the writing that happened right then. What is the lesson? Dearest one, are you okay? We ask you this as we want to know, are you okay? Do you feel safe? do you need for us to reassure you that all will be well and to go with the flow of life, to allow, just allow? You hear the heat going on, the warmth. It will be okay. You are safe. You will be safe. Go through your day and ask yourself, what is the next right thing? Breathe, stop, and listen to the whisper of the soul. The lessons will always be there for you if you call it forth. So these are words that I think that we all could take in as we go through what's coming, that we are safe and what is the next right thing to do. And then I ask, is it safe for me to wait before going to the post office? Every time I left that cabin, it was a big to do. It was a 2-mile trek down a very windy dirt road that, you'd fall off a cliff if your car went ever so slightly one way or the other. And then I'd have to leave my dog alone at the cabin to go into town, which was like 40 minutes away. And I worried, like, if I didn't come back, what would happen to him and yada yada. A lot of fear. So in the fog, I asked, should I go to the post office? I had to go to the post office. And they said, your beautiful things at the post office, it was around my birthday, will be waiting for you. We can feel your gratitude. As beautiful Sierra, one of the yoga teachers in town, said in her note, gratitude is grief's companion. And is it not that gratitude is grief's companion? You are here on the couch, feel the couch. You are listening to the hum of the refrigerator, preserving your foods. You are lulled by the heat. You are looking at the leaves that are changing and the fog. You are feeling your thoughts. They come and go, come and go. Do not attach to them. When there is guilt, there is greater attachment. Let them come and go like the wind crossing your face. Let the wind whisper to you its own lessons of nature, that nothing is personal unless you see it as such, and then it most assuredly is. Know that times will come and go as they will without your ability to change the trajectory of what happens. You cannot hold up the world, so do not try. Only hold up your world, and in doing so, then the vapors of hope and freedom and love will pervade to all things, and then it will allow a simmer of truth and love to prevail into the night and darkness. Beautiful message. So this message was on Halloween of 2021. You have so much on your mind. When you are in meditation, it is okay to rest. Rest. If you need to do a lying down meditation, then do this. No judgment, no unnecessary rules, just allow. Allow your life to flow unhindered by judgment and expectations. Allow for life to lead you. It most certainly has your back and wonders if you do. Do what floats your boat in all these rains and water. Stay afloat and do not drown in unnecessary emotions. It's not necessary. Allow. For now, be the change by being. Don't just do, but be. Allow and see what comes up for you. Who knows? There may be some happy surprises waiting for you. And then this is in November 1st. You're having dreams of children that you are watching, and their mothers are looking, these mothers are looking for them. So I'm going to stop there because that's a whole nother bunch of pages. So I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to turn my video on. And if you're at this part of the video and you've followed along, I want to apologize because it's been kind of a disjointed message, but I think it's also been a beautiful one from the divine that I was able to pull through the channel of love. And sometimes the channel of love is discombobulated and messy. Sometimes the divine feminine is the divine feminine of the yin and the beingness tends to be more messy than the solar masculine left brain way of thinking. So, of course, that's my rational part speaking, rationalizing part. If you like this video, please share it with others who might be willing to listen, and it might help them as they go through the next iteration of game time. So have a good one, and I will continue reading some of this in the next video.